Today we'll be examining a Bell & Ross by Sinn Space 2 titanium chronograph. Sinn was established in the early 90s, and at that time they didn't make their own watches. Instead they partnered up with Sinn, and I guess giving credit where credit is due, the watches are thusly labeled Bell & Ross by Sinn. Now, as I mentioned, this is a chronograph watch. The case and bracelet are crafted from pure titanium. It's 40 millimeters in diameter, excluding the crown. You've got a lug-to-lug distance of 42 millimeters and a lug width of 20. Take a look at some of the features of the dial. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'll point them out. You've got the date, the day, 24-hour indicator to help you differentiate between AM and PM, seconds counter, 12-hour counter. You've got two scales here. You've got a tachymeter scale, and you've got a pulsation scale used to take someone's pulse. Now you're probably wondering, where do I read off the elapsed minutes? Well, the minutes are read off directly off the minutes track. Let me demonstrate that. Let me, while I'm talking, let me activate the chronograph. Just pay attention to this airplane-shaped chronograph tip. You'll see it advance as some time goes by while we talk. Crown has the S for Sinn. Let's take a look at the case back. Let me undo the bracelet. Just zoom out a little bit here. Has a safety bow. And you have an extension here in case you want to wear it over a wetsuit or perhaps a sleeve or something. Slotted case back. It's a screw-on case back. Okay, that first word is pure titanium. Second word is, I guess, impact or shock resistant. Third is anti-magnetic, I believe, to 4,800 amperes per meter. Third should be water resistance to 20 bar, about 660 feet. You can see a serial number here, and also it says Sinn. Let me show you how to set the watch. Well, actually, let's take a look at how many minutes have gone by since we started it. You see? Almost 3 minutes has gone by. So you can see it's pretty convenient to read the minutes off the minutes track. It's a lot easier than reading it off a little sub-dial. Now, setting the watch, as you would imagine, is done via the crown. Crown is unscrewed. Get a little popping sound. Now you can wind the watch. Extract the crown to the next position, and that will allow you to set the date and the day. Turn the crown clockwise to advance the date, counterclockwise to advance the day. Finally, if you pull the crown all the way out, you can stop the watch so you can synchronize it or hack the watch to the time source, and you could set the hands. When you're finished, the crown just gets screwed back down again. I also wanted to point out that the Hands and indices are treated with tritium, not superluminova. This watch is circa 93 and 95, and at that time a lot of watches still use tritium. I'm not sure when superluminova really started to get popular, so if someone knows, let me know. You've got a relatively flat sapphire crystal with AR coat, anti-reflective coating, so the dial is pretty legible under most lighting conditions. My coating's getting a little scuffed up here. This watch has a lot of battle scars. When I bought it, it was secondhand already. And I guess I don't really baby my watches. I really use them. Hence all the damage, or the badges of honor, rather. Now, the Space 2 houses the famous Lemania 5100 movement. It's a 17-jewel automatic unidirectional movement going at 28,800 beats per hour. Power reserve is 52 hours. However, when I wear the watch for a couple of days, the power reserve goes down to about 40 hours only. Let me explain what that means. If I fully wind the watch from a dead stop and I leave it on my nightstand, it'll stop about 52 hours later. However, if I do the same thing and I wear it for a couple of days and then I set the watch down, it'll stop about 40 hours later. So that leads me to believe that the rotor, it's not winding the watch efficiently. It's not winding it so that the mainspring is at full tension. So this watch is definitely in need of a service. It's pushing almost 2 decades, and I don't think it's ever been serviced. As far as accuracy is concerned, when the mainspring is fully wound, it's doing about plus 8 seconds a day. But once it's on the wrist a couple days, I notice after about the 3rd day or so, it starts to lose a little time. So it'll start off with a gain of about plus 8, but then it'll gradually go down to, like, let's say a plus 6, a plus 3, and then it'll start to go into the minus. And I also noticed that if I activate the chronograph and use it for some time, 10 minutes or so, it will lose a little time as well. It does affect it. So everything screams service call. Now, one of the highlights of this movement, and one of the things that's very well known for, is its toughness. It can withstand up to 7 Gs of vertical acceleration without any noticeable decline in accuracy. It can also take a lot of shocks without the chrono sweep hand stopping. So in other words, if I were to bounce this around a bit, this would still continue to work. It's continue to operate. It wouldn't stop. Of course, I don't want to put it to the test, but that's what it's reputed to be able to withstand very high shocks. As a result of this, it's been adapted by the military, especially the German armed forces and some of the NATO nations, military forces of the NATO nations. Service intervals, depending on what source you read, it's about 4 to 7 years, about 5 to 8 years. So it's a little bit longer than the standard industry recommendation, I guess, for chronographs or watches in general. And once the accuracy is set, once it's adjusted, it can maintain its accuracy for quite a while. I think the Lemania 5100, or watch housing it, is worthy to be in any collection of chronographs. I think it's a very interesting movement with a very interesting history. And it's also been discontinued. It's been discontinued for a while now. So one of the problems with servicing the watch is that parts aren't available. I guess you can source some parts somewhere. You may have to go on eBay or something, or maybe somebody has parts somewhere, but that is a problem. It's also one of those movements that some watchmakers don't like working on. There are plastic or / nylon parts in it, and a lot of watchmakers, some watchmakers, a little turned off by that. Maybe it lends an air of cheapness to the movement. I don't think so. As long as it works fine and it's durable, it's fine with me. So let me give you some parting shots of the movement. Also, let me quickly explain how to use the pulsation scale. I think most of you know how to use the tachymeter scale, so we won't have to go into that. Basically, what you do is this. Let me just stop the chronograph. I guess you feel for someone's pulse. You feel a pulse, let's say in the neck or something, and then you start the chronograph. And when you've counted 15 pulses, you stop the chronograph, and that'll give you the number of the pulse per minute. So let's say I count 15 and I stop here. The person's pulse is 70 pulses per minute. Okay? The reason, you see the way it says 15 PULS? That's why you have to count to 15 pulses. I guess that's the way the scale is graduated to. See, what other trivia that I want to tell you about this watch? A lot of Lemania-based watches, the chronograph, you actually have to use the pushes. You have to use a bit of force to get it started. And also, when it winds, it makes a very loud ratcheting kind of sound. Now, I don't know if you can hear it or not. No, you can't hear it. That's another thing. It's a very noisy winder. Okay, so there you have it, Bell & Ross by Sinn. Once again, I want to thank you for watching my videos. We're up to about the low 900s now as far as subscribers are concerned, and I'm very proud of this. Hopefully, I'll be able to make the 1,000 mark by the end of the year. Okay, tell your whiz buddies about this channel, and I'll try to put up an interesting video now and then. I still have a few watches in my collection that might interest you. Okay, so tune in next time. Thanks again for watching, and have a good day. Bye now.